Our final author is Dr. Cornwall. He's a groundbreaking theoretical physicist and philosopher who has dedicated over 20 years of rigorous research to the true nature of reality and human beings' place in it. Please welcome Dr. Darren Cornwall.
Greetings and salutations to those who are agreeable to such things. It is a delight, in fact, that so much talk of travel through time has happened here tonight. You might know me from many articles I've written in prominent scientific journals, such as Science. They have published my research papers entitled, "I Can't Believe It's Not Gamma Rays," "Little Red Hydrogen Hood," and "Lego My Ego." I'd like to read to you tonight from my upcoming book entitled, "The Future of Forever Is Now," which is more of an expose than it is a scientific rendering of ultimate truths, of which, by means of my own brilliance, I and I alone was able, in fact, to uncover from the dusty drop cloth of time. I wrote, and it reads, "Time is no longer a means by which we measure, as much as it is a prison which we willingly have sentenced ourselves in which to be confined. Ironically, for the rest of time. Our wristwatches are handcuffs, and it is no accident that calendars are designed to contain the grid lines of prison bars. Like chicken coops, or chickens inside those coops, laying eggs, but more truthfully, like chickens in a coop. But whose breakfast do we serve? Things seem scrambled and not so over easy. These constructs of linear time prevent us from being able to step forward, not in time, but into our truest selves. Dong! Dong! Tick-tock! Tick-tock! These are the timeless prison sounds we hear instead of a tin cup dragged across cell bars. Without time, we are endless, have no true expiration date, and always have room for seconds. Without the confines of clocks and self-imposed deadlines, our existence would never cease to cease. How many seconds could a second cease if a second could cease seconds? It's simple. Infinite seconds could be ceased if a second could cease seconds. Interesting, yes, but how many seconds could a seashore cease if a seashore could cease seconds? Subsequently, that's a whole separate subject, synthesizing how many seconds a seashore could cease by the seaside if a seashore could cease seconds by the seaside. Suffice to say, it would be substantial. I will jump ahead now in the book and go to a later chapter in which I discuss the temptations that time often uses to trap us. It can be difficult to extricate ourselves from time's sticky, sticky mud. I wrote, and it reads, "We can sit and ponder the origins of time when and if we find ourselves partaking in such folly. We quickly realize it's a fool's errand running down the inception of such an elusive creature. Let me explain by asking a simple question. When was time invented? This question seems straightforward enough, much like we have been taught the arrow of time points straight forward as a linear action, when in fact the arrow of time does not point forward. It is not linear. Some have found it enjoyable to say that time is a flat circle, or even compared it to a snake eating its own tail. This is also flawed. Time is not a snake eating its own tail, but rather a snake defecating its own head. As a reader, you may be asking yourself, what does this all mean regarding the beginning of time? Good question. And again, it brings us to a standstill, because how could one hope to pinpoint the beginning of time, or the moment time came into existence, if there was no time in existence before the seminal moment? Before the invention of time, there was no such thing as time, which renders it impossible to define the time, which time was invented, because there was no time in existence before the invention of time. The backwards nature of our understanding of our existence and how we should be as human beings is best illustrated by this simple sentence. Instead of choosing to have less time, we choose to be timeless. You cannot be in the past, and you cannot be in the future. Well, until tonight we've learned you may. So you must be a human being. That is happening now. You see, the difference is clear, and around we go on the carousel of timely confusion. Peradventure now, you can better see the snake defecating its own head. What does it all mean? I do not know, but I do ponder it all the time. Simply put, without time, there can be no end of time. Religious texts often refer to the end times, and this is what they reference. Where there is no beginning, there can be no end, and with no end, there can be no death, you see. We no longer let the hands of time or ghostly gods hold us back from our immortal potential. It is high time to let go of time. And when people ask us, when did the end of time come about, you can simply respond, now. That is a good question. This book will be available at Barnes & Noble. Specifically the Barnes & Noble at the Grove here in Los Angeles, California. That's the only Barnes & Noble. I'd like to open it up if anyone has any questions, but it appears I'm out of time. Thank you for your time.